The ZA Tech Show is made possible by Vodacom. Power to you at vodacom.co.za. And by BlackBerry. Love doing business on your BlackBerry smartphone at blackberry.co.za. And it's time for our weekly tech discussion once again. The ZA Tech Show, episode number 175. Welcome to it. My name is Simon Dingle. Good to be back with you. Brett looked after the show last week. Very grateful to him. Andy Hatfield is with me. How do I know this? Because there's wine in the studio.
Of course there is. Today it is we're very fond of this farm. It's a real-time wine. It is a Longridge 2007 Cab Sav. I think it is under $60. It could very well be sort of $40 or $50.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Okay.
I shall pour.
Cool. Thanks for being here, Andy Hatfield. One big widget, real-time wines. It's all happening at andyhatfield.com. Nice shirt, by the way, Star Wars.
I quite like some stuff.
Cool. The member of the panel this week is Stephen Ambrose from Strategy Works.
That's me.
How are you doing, Steve?
As I said when I came in, I should be on Ritalin. Little overstimulated this week.
Oh, really? And who's
Yeah.
responsible for that?
Well, me mostly.
Good on ya. So, thanks for being here, gentlemen. Where do we start this week? IFA happened in Germany, in
Ooh,
Berlin. I
sorry.
suppose that's a
Nice
good place
wine.
to start.
Hey, is it good?
Yeah, excuse
Jeez,
me.
How much wine are we drinking? Look at
Good
these
place to
glasses.
start. Good wine.
Wine out of a soda glass.
Yes.
I like
Whiskey
it.
tumbler's even better. Right, sorry. IFI.
I had the wrong mic on for Andy Hatfield. There you go. Everybody should be able to hear you.
So
better.
no one heard anything I said,
No, they
including
heard
my
you just very faintly.
including my very raucous
It
clap.
all adds to this garage band-like vibe that we like to build around the ZA Tech Show.
Shoo-wow, man.
Oh man, we had one of those evenings where every bit of technology that we need to comply with the way we do the show had to be kneed into place. Anyway, I think we're there now. I think everybody can hear Andy. I think everybody can see us. So,
Hello,
good times.
Is this thing on?
All right, technology news. Focus.
Yes, sir.
IFA happened in Berlin. Some new announcements. Where should we start? Let's start with Lenovo's new tablet because there's a lot happening in the tablet space.
Nog a tablet.
Yes, the K1, which arrived on my desk. I was quite impressed. The day it was announced in Berlin at IFA, it arrived on my desk at FinWeek magazine, and I opened it up and I started playing. Have either of you seen this tablet
Yes.
in the flesh?
I have
In
not.
the flesh.
What
Mine
do you think,
arrived on the
Steve?
same day.
Before I give you my take on it, what did you think of the Lenovo K1?
You know what? It's really hard. You always land up comparing it to that other tablet, which will remain nameless because
Why?
we always
The
speak
iPad?
too much. But anyway, we compare it to the iPad. It's not as well built, but it's really, really usable. And what really impressed me is the amount of stuff they'd put on it.
Yeah.
So you switched it on, and there was all these cool apps you didn't have to think about installing, and they all worked. Well, mostly,
yeah.
except some of the services that are not available in South Africa. And I was really impressed. It's fast. The screen is good. It's a little plasticky at the back, but other than that, it's really a very acceptable tablet. I was
Yeah.
quite impressed.
How does it differentiate itself
It doesn't.
in the
Good
forest
question.
of tablets?
Price.
Price is the big
Price is the
differentiator.
big
It's going for
differentiator.
$4,000 in South Africa, which makes it the cheapest 10-inch tablet on the market at the
With
moment. I think.
32 gig of RAM.
Yeah.
So it's
So price is the big
well spec.
differentiator. Lenovo's also done a lot of work on the Android user interface. They've built their own sort of widget system, which is pretty usable.
And that's nothing new, building your own.
But
Look,
it's got
I-
one other little quick differentiator. It's got some really good security apps built in and ready to roll, which will make businesses very, very happy.
Yes. The
So-
other nice thing about it is it comes with some cloud services. So it comes with a cloud hard drive a la Dropbox. I think they give you 2 gigs in the
Yeah,
cloud
well,
with the tablet.
That's really funny. The tablet's got 32 gig and they advertise it as, now you don't have to worry about saving your stuff on your device because you've got 2 gig free. I think that's a bit silly because you can get free 25 gigs on
True.
on Microsoft. So
True.
But
But
anyway, it's
but
there.
still, nice little addition. And then, as you said, all of the applications bundled. I'll tell you what I really dislike about it is it's got this massive bezel around the screen. It makes it look a bit like
Yeah,
a
it
Fisher
does.
Price product, like
It
my
does.
first tablet.
And the back's
It's got
bit
this
wide.
massive-
Like the
massive-
playbook bezel.
The playbook bezel is usable because it's
Yeah,
touch
active,
sensitive
yeah.
and it's not too wide. This is like, I should have brought it with me, but this is seriously broad. It's a proper bezel that they've got around this.
So what's the deal with the applications pre-bundled?
Well, they've
What
just
comes
installed.
pre-bundled?
They've installed a lot of things that some games and some apps that you would have probably gone straight to the Android marketplace and got anyway. But it just saves you time. They've also got their own app store. Lenovo's built their own application store for Android apps, so that's on it as well.
That's quite nice because you've heard the stats, obviously, of whatever it is, 400,000 iPhones in the country, of which only maybe 40% are app active.
Yes.
So now you pre-bundle and pre-install a whole bunch of stuff, which I think Samsung are looking at doing as well.
Yeah.
And that immediately opens up it opens up 60% of the South African tablet / smartphone market.
Right. But other than that, no major differentiators.
No,
It's lighter. It's lighter than most of the other tablets on the market. Not quite as light as the Galaxy Tab 10.1.
No, and not as thin either.
Yeah.
But and mine's not working either. Don't worry about it. This whole Shadow Fire thing is not going for us.
You're not
But
getting into the chat room.
No.
No, we're having a Lime chat, which will be my next pick on. Lime chat for Max sucks.
Yeah, wants you to know too
Use
many
colloquy.
things.
Much better.
Error
IRC
432
client. Okay.
Hadfield,
Or just-
erroneous nickname.
Or just go to zatech.co.za/live
Yeah.
and use the widget to chat.
I'm gonna have to.
Back to that interesting tablet.
Yes.
There's two things that I find really interesting. Is one, I don't believe that Android version 3 point whatever is really ready for prime time. There are too many
Honeycomb.
oddities. Honeycomb. There are too many oddities. It expects you to touch the top and touch the bottom and touch the side, and it's not intuitive. It's not smooth. It's not slick. It's functional, but it makes me feel like I'm a real geek, and I think that's going to count against it in the mainstream.
Yeah. I must say, I think Android's missing a trick with usability. I watch 2-year-olds, for example, using the iPad, and they can figure it out. Whereas the Android interface is a bit more complicated. Now, some people go, so what? This is designed for adult use.
No, but
But
I
if it's
think
not intuitive for
Yeah.
2-year-olds and really old people, it tells you something about how quickly you can achieve things on that user
Absolutely.
interface
But
as
even
anybody.
even experienced users find it a little bit complicated and a little confusing. And the one thing that I've really learned through all the years that I've played with even the internet is people don't remember navigation.
True.
So every time you want to go somewhere, you'll end up looking for that somewhere. And that makes things very
That's a pretty good
difficult.
point.
So the one thing, their navigation is not intuitive. Interestingly enough, of all the tablets, the BlackBerry Playbook has the most intuitive navigation paradigm that I've ever come across. The swiping across, up,
Yeah.
down, no buttons is really so smooth once you get the hang of it.
I really enjoy the BlackBerry playbook, but as we've said so many times on the show before, just no applications. That's what keeps me from using it every day.
No, I agree.
No
Big
Evernote,
drawback.
no Kindle, no. Well, there's
All the
now
key
Blue
stuff.
Box, which you can use for Dropbox, but
And
but
the
it's
two
a
Twitter
yeah.
apps I've tried don't work.
Yeah,
So it's good fun, and I'm not spending money. I refuse.
yeah.
So it's a challenge.
We're going to talk about the playbook again in a moment because BlackBerry are back on board as sponsors of the ZA Tech Show. But while we're talking 7-inch tablets, let's touch on the Samsung Galaxy Tab 7.7 inch. Now, I've seen this thing. I've played with it. I saw a prototype in South Africa, and it's cool, but it's suffering in Europe with this whole case between Apple and Samsung. And it was pulled from IFA, which is a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal.
They had it on the stand. Apparently, some people saw it on the stand. They had prepared a whole video, which actually, let's play it. To prepare for IFA in Berlin, Samsung did. And then pulled this product from the stand because they were scared of, I suppose, legal ramifications of having it there with Apple. And
in
it
fact-
looks like this thing's not going to hit the European market. It's also been announced that they're not going to launch it in the USA. So Samsung taking this very seriously.
Sure.
No doubt. And in fact, there were legal ramifications. On Monday, Apple got an injunction against that particular tablet. So they had to. They removed it before because they knew it was coming. But the fact is they had to
Yes.
eventually.
So does
So,
this mean
big
that
challenge.
we can construe that Apple's maybe working on a 7-inch tablet?
Shoo, that's a big call.
That's a big call. I don't think so.
Neither do I.
I really don't think so.
But look, they went to a lot of trouble to stop this thing from making
Well,
a splash at
No, because it's
IFA.
remember that they had already banned the sale of the 10.1 inch. So
Yeah.
in order to make sure that they were completely snookered, they had to continue and carry on with their entire suite, suit or legal suit. So
Yeah, but
they
that's
had
not
to
a
knock them.
rumor.
What?
That's not fun. There's no speculation.
No, there's no speculation. It's just nail them, boys. But it's the bottom line. It just shows you how high the stakes are and how serious this whole game is.
Yeah,
I mean, Apple are not. The gloves are off, and they're taking the whole thing extremely seriously.
sure. But it is a great device, this little 7.7-inch Android tablet. I have always said that I don't quite see the point of 7-inch tablets, and I'll stick by that. The playbook has gone some way to changing my mind. But of course, the big 7-inch tablet news this week is that the Amazon Kindle tablet is real. It's happening.
And it's 7 inches.
Yeah. Now,
What does everyone know that Apple doesn't with the 7-inch thing?
Nothing. I just think that they're very different devices. And what will happen is everyone will have the Kindle, be it color or whatever, and a 10-inch tablet for other uses,
Yeah.
like we've got today. But it just makes sense. When I find it very difficult to read books on a tablet.
Yes.
For the one that was really quite nice was the Flyer, but the Flyer is very heavy. The HTC Flyer 7-inch tablet.
Yeah.
It's very heavy and it's very bulky. And the old Samsung one was also a bit too heavy and too bulky for everyday use. And the Kindle's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Now imagine you couple that size with something that's thin and light and color and touchscreen. I
Yes.
think Amazon are onto something pretty significant here.
Definitely. Now there has, I've seen a lot of sort of speculation and opinion in articles that I've read subsequent to this news breaking. And part of that is that Amazon brings something to the whole competition against Apple that its competitors are missing out. And when you ask people to elaborate on that, they usually carry on about content. So Amazon stores for movies, music, and they're building their own app store because this is a forked version of Android. But they're perceived as this sort of latent threat to Apple that Samsung and BlackBerry and the other tablet creators haven't been until now. The interesting thing is the forking of Android and turning it into their own operating system.
Is that the greatest strength of Android or the greatest fault?
Well, I mean, Android is open source, which is part of its strength, but
So what
it
happens
also
to
means
Linux
that
is
you
happening
can,
to that?
Well, kind of, but it means that you can create your own distribution or flavor of it, fork it off, and develop it as your own operating system. I think it's a strength for Android from an ecosystem perspective, maybe from Google's perspective, certainly, because it gives them nice spread. Although there's an argument that it could have the opposite effect for
Yeah.
them. But I don't know. What do you think, Steve, of this whole forking of Android? Is that the right approach?
I think that's irrelevant what approach it is. They needed an operating system that was slick, that was well supported, that the hardware manufacturers were building hardware for.
Yeah.
And Android ticked all those boxes. As you said, it's open source. So the truth is, I don't believe that the word Android will feature anywhere in the Kindles, in the whole Kindle ecosystem. They're going to call it the Kindle. They're going to market it as a media consumption device for themselves.
Yeah.
And the fact that it might be able to run a couple of customized apps that appear on their own app store is neither here nor there. So, in fact, they're making their own ecosystem. So whether it's forked off from, it sounds like fun, but whether it actually is a branch of the whole Android ecosystem is actually irrelevant because the whole interface will be completely and utterly different.
Right.
So reports are that it's a type of touch flow, cover flow, deeply embedded interface. So you won't have any of the Android stuff floating around anywhere.
Don't
And a
say
lot
cover
simpler.
flow, you're going to get sued again.
Well, they can sue me, but it'll be a what did they say? Their wording was cover flow like.
Yes.
Oh.
So nice, simple interface, no cameras, really
limited
sort of,
memory as well. Only 6 gigs they're talking about,
yeah.
which
Sorry,
is
Andy,
great
you were
for
saying?
books and
No, I was just going to say, again, another tablet, but there was a Guardian.co.uk article which had a really interesting point about Google maybe being the loser in all of this, because the more people rolling out bespoke Android implementations and executions, the further and further away Google get from their customers, which is very unlike Amazon in this instance, who are getting closer to their customers because they're controlling that transaction stack a lot better. I just found that really interesting.
Yeah.
That Google has very little control of transactions. And that's exactly what a tablet is about. It's a different media interface, but it's an interface to promote transactions.
Sure.
That's how Apple rolls.
I wonder if they'll keep their 6-inch sort of e-ink devices on sale. They have to.
I believe they will.
Because
I believe
this is
they
going to
will.
be a color LCD screen
And
or
it'll be
AMOLED or
expensive.
whatever. And, well, they're talking about $250.
Yeah, but you can get the
which-
current e-ink devices at $100.
for 130, yeah.
No, even less now if you're
Sure.
prepared to accept an ad or two.
But reading books on that e-ink screen is just an unbeatable experience for me. Magazines, newspapers, that kind of thing works better on a tablet for me, like the iPad or even the Playbook. But when it comes to reading books, I just love the Kindle. I think it's an unbeatable experience.
And also forget to charge it.
Yes.
There's a lot to be said for the fact that its battery lasts a month.
Yeah.
Any color tablet of any nature that's going to be light and thin is going to have a day or two battery life. So every night you're going to have to remember to plug the damn thing in. Whereas
Yeah.
on the current Kindle, I promise you, I'm surprised when it says battery low,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I charged it.
Yeah.
So,
So
I think
interesting
that's a
play.
big thing.
We have seen some prototypes for hybrid e-ink screens that will
Colour-
allow you to have sort of full color a la LCD with hybrid e-ink. I think the problem is where you bring in capacitive touch. That's where you
Yeah.
start messing things
Yeah.
up with that whole hybrid model.
And I think it also gets expensive, and what they're looking for is something that's obviously ubiquitous. And
Yeah.
I mean, a 7-inch capacitive touchscreen on LCD technology is pretty ubiquitous and cheap.
Right.
Once you start going for these cutting-edge hybrid things, I think it becomes a lot more expensive.
I think the big opportunity for Amazon is when it comes to music and movies.
No
Um,
doubt, no doubt.
If they can package that properly and take it to a wider audience than Apple has, because truth is, Apple in terms of TV shows and movies has been pretty limited actually, and especially in terms of territory.
And also very limited to their ecosystem.
Yes.
So you had to have an Apple TV
Mm.
to play nicely with Apple videos.
Sure.
Whereas with Amazon, you can have any device, including boxies, any form of device can play it. So it's a completely different ecosystem
Yeah.
and a lot cleverer.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, ebooks were a tough sell for most people until Kindle came along. It wasn't a new idea. Microsoft had tried it.
Absolutely.
There had been tons of reading devices from Sony and other manufacturers, tries at content stores, but it wasn't until Kindle put it all together that it just took off. I wonder if they can do the same thing for TV, for example.
Well, I think they may. I think TV is definitely moving in that direction of a form of subscription service with on-demand, especially for the more high-profile shows.
Yeah.
And then there are a lot of other services which will give you a sort of access to the huge back catalogue, the same way as we've got today with the music services. So
Yeah.
I think there's big change coming from that respect. And there's no question that certainly globally, and now more and more in South Africa,
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where it's entirely possible. You can stream this stuff from wherever you are onto
Yes.
whatever device you're on. So I think there's a huge shift coming, and you can see it in the Amazons, in the Apples, in all these tablet devices.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the more the merrier. I think it's going to drive change big time.
Definitely. Well, let's take a break for now to discuss our sponsors of the ZA Tech Show. We're very happy to have Vodacom on board. This is week 4 with Vodacom on board. Time flies. Very happy to have them. Now, Vodacom, of course, has just launched its own app store. CEO Peter Ace said that locals in South Africa can't wait forever for content to start hitting our shores localized for us and developed
Poke MTN.
and developed in the country. So what Vodacom's done is they've launched an application platform. It's fairly open to try and spur on the creation of localized applications, get them online, get them into an app store, and make the process of creating applications perhaps something that your average guy on the street could start thinking about. They believe the differentiator is that they're going to make apps available for Android, Symbian, Java, and BlackBerry, all from this store. Of course, iOS is a bit of a challenge. Can't take that one on yet. But that's what Vodacom's doing. And of course, this is along with their promise of putting the power of the internet into people's hands and finding ways that they can, be relevant in the whole bandwidth game and the growth of data usage in Africa. So interesting move by Vodacom. We're seeing other operators sort of trying to take the step as well, and we'll see if it pays off for them. But definitely worth checking out, vodacom.co.za, and we're very proud to have them as sponsors of the ZA Tech Show.
Do you think there's a first mover advantage in this app store in the local filtered App Store market?
I don't know, hey.
Or do you think MTN users will go to MTN and Vodacom to Vodacom?
Possibly. I think where the big opportunity is to make this a better experience for end users. So, for example, who was speaking recently? It was actually Vodacom sponsored research from Columinate. But what they found was the research, they say, was carried out independently. And what they found was that the BlackBerry store
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
was
exact
one
same
of the was one of the most accessed. In fact, it was the most
It was
accessed
the
app
number
store in
one
South
app
Africa,
store in South Africa.
which makes sense because there are more BlackBerry
well, the
smartphones
BlackBerry's the
than
number
others.
one smartphone
Sure.
in South Africa.
But
so it does make
second,
sense.
more interesting to me, second was the Ovi store from Nokia. But then when they went to satisfaction ratings, the Ovi store was right at the bottom. So it was the second most accessed store for downloading applications, which makes sense because Nokia probably is in second place in terms of how many smartphones are in hands capable of using Ovi to BlackBerry, but very low in terms of experience. So I think where the opportunity is to make it a better experience for users, make it easier for them to pay,
Yeah.
get hold of the content that they're looking for,
Less crap.
keep it updated. And that
Single
sort of thing.
click buttons pre-installed on phones.
Yeah.
Operator billing. This all gets quite interesting. I wonder, will it have operator billing? Do you know that from Vodacom? Will you buy the apps onto your contract?
I'm pretty sure, yes, it will have operator billing. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does have
Yeah.
operator billing. But so does the Ovi store.
So does the Ovi store, and it's the only other one that does.
No, and the BlackBerry store also does now.
Does it also have operator billing now?
It does.
Ah, okay.
So the whole app
Yes,
environment's
actually knew
getting
that.
the app environment is getting really quite interesting. And what's interesting also, which you don't have operator billing yet, but the only app store that's not available in South Africa now is the iOS app store,
Yes.
where you have to play games and have friends in strange places. In other words, in order to actually use it.
Well, hold on. Let's qualify that. The iOS App Store is available in South Africa
But with
without the
limited
games
apps.
category. Yeah. And prices listed in dollars.
Yeah, and the apps on there are
Yeah.
fairly limited. There's a lot of apps that,
Are
even though
there?
that
I haven't found. I mean, okay, I'll be honest, and you're welcome to correct me, but I haven't found a critical app that I have needed that hasn't been on the South African iOS App Store.
Well, let's put it this way. You take my son, for example, who's got a bit like the Simon Dingle, about 45,000 folders on the front of his thing.
Games, sure,
And,
I
and a
get
lot
that.
of little apps and some obscure stuff, and it's just not available. And it's highly frustrating when you can see them, but you can't buy them.
I disagree. I think the iOS store's actually got most things available. It's just
Yeah,
really the
it's
games
just
category
games.
that's
Yeah.
missing. I found everything else.
Everything
And you
else
can
is-
buy the games with your South African card on the
Yeah.
Kenyan
on the
store.
Kenyan one.
But
yeah.
it's interesting. Apple knows that they're behind in this whole localization
Yeah.
of app stores. They're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to try and promote local applications. Sorry. To try and promote
have
local
some wine, that's
applications and their development. And they know that they need to start playing ball because Nokia, BlackBerry, Android, everybody else has their stuff in countries like South Africa listed in local currency with operator billing.
Mm.
And they need to catch up.
It'll be interesting to see because there's another, the big rumors are that they're looking at bringing a lower price device for emerging markets. And especially now that you can, with the latest iOS 5, you don't need iTunes to activate and operate your phone. So they become completely independent of the Apple ecosystem, for want of a better word.
It just
so you
does.
can buy a device, activate it, and use it immediately from the device itself.
It just doesn't seem to align with the way Apple does things, introducing a low-end device.
I didn't
It's-
say low end, I said a low cost.
Sure.
And whether
One
that's
could argue
when
they
they
did that with the
supported-
3G. Remember when they brought in the 3G
What's the 3G?
3GS?
Yeah, and kept
And then
it
they
going.
kept the 3G going at a lower
At
price
$99.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
eventually
but it
for
was
free.
it was still a premium device. It was a device that their fanboys had clamored over, lined up and killed each other in the queues for.
point. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if Apple will do that.
Who knows? But look, the rumors are rife, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll find out what the exact plans are. But I can tell you they're pushing out iOS 5 betas like nobody's business. They're already up to 7.
You've been using it for a while
Yeah,
now, eh?
and it's very impressive. It really is very impressive. The capabilities are good. The notification system is spectacular. and they're not sleeping. They're certainly up there with the other guys.
So while we're talking iOS 5, I love the story this week about the leaked iPhone 5 left in a bar. Deja vu, hey?
What?
History
No, again?
repeats
It
itself.
sounds too much like an urban legend, if you ask me.
Apple's been seeding bars in the Bay Area for 3 weeks, and finally somebody noticed.
And
an
here they're
iPhone
getting all their
5.
free publicity.
I actually found an iPhone 5 unboxing today, and there was discussion online about whether or not it's authentic. Actually, let me play it over the.
Well, I'm
if you're
just
watching
Google
the
imaging
video.
it quickly.
Well, there's so
It
many
looks the
different
same
images.
with rounded edges.
Well, the interesting thing about
Johnny
the device,
Ives, what are you doing?
I'm going to go with fake on this video that I found, along with the story of the iPhone appearing in a bar in San Francisco. But what is interesting about this video, and if you're watching the video version of the podcast, we're playing it at the moment, is the size of the device, because it's a pretty big screen.
Well, some people say it's bigger and some people say it's smaller. So
Yeah.
you actually don't know. And this is their game. They keep
What I preferred over the Lost in a Bar was the article on eWeek about Apple posting for 2 new security positions to look after internal products.
That was quite interesting.
It actually specs out the job. 30% of your job is travel, and you will be looking after internal
You'll be going
products.
to every single bar in town.
Seeding them and then pretending to be the police and arresting people when they get picked up somewhere.
I don't know. I wouldn't discount the fact that Apple might have just leaked this on purpose, and probably always did.
Well, apparently there was also a report that their guys were impersonating the cops and breaking into people's houses. So
I
fun
love
and games.
that there's a whole ecosystem that sprung up of hundreds of people making fake iPhone mock-ups in Photoshop and
Yeah.
fake unboxing videos. And
If you go to images.google.com and type in iPhone 5, I mean, there's thousands of them. My favorite is the one where the bottom of the iPhone 5 tapers off, kind of like the MacBook Airs do.
Yeah.
It gets all
So
thin.
it gets all thin towards the bottom. I'll put my money on that.
this is not a real iPhone 5. This video is
I'll bet you a whiskey tumbler of red wine that's going to happen.
This is something that was made in China for the Chinese market, because you'd get arrested anywhere else if you try to sell
The
it.
coolest one I saw, some guy photoshopped a Minority Report iPhone 5 that was totally transparent.
Oh, there
Have
it
you
is.
seen that one? It's absolutely
That's
amazing.
brilliant.
It's amazing. It's glass with the top and the bottom. It's just the most spectacular Photoshop job I've ever seen. And they did a whole video of it, and they showed how it worked and moved. I mean, guys spend hours on this.
My
It's
favorite,
insane.
my favorite was the iPhone 5 in inverted commas prototype that had a projection keyboard.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, the future has arrived. Everybody's else been playing with this technology and it hasn't worked. It's been a
Talking
terrible
of
experience.
iPhones,
But
do
Apple
you
made
know
it work.
that there's a Gautrain app?
No, I did not.
Yep.
Oh, really?
There's a
Is that going to be your
Gautrain
pick
app.
this week?
No, but it's not a
Just sneaking one in there.
great app. I'm just sneaking it
So
in.
what can you do?
You can find out when it's coming and when it's going, and that's it. And the cost. They have
Yes.
a cost calculator.
Launch quickly, iterate faster.
Yeah.
Come on.
But anyway, it's out
the
there.
mantra of
What
Silicon
I-
Valley.
there.
What they
and-
should do with the Gautrain app, which would be fairly simple, and I say this as if I know,
Mm-hmm.
would be to introduce an NFC Gautrain
Absolutely,
ticketing
so
system.
that you could
They're
book
doing it in
online,
Japan already.
Book online and go.
Yeah, the Gautrain terminals are already NFC compliant. I was playing with the new BlackBerry 9900, for example. They sent me a unit to test,
You're
and
not
that's got
supposed to be
NFC
talking
in it.
about it. You know that.
Apparently, it's okay now.
Well,
I've spoken to some
Vodafone
Vodacom
are selling them.
customers. Exactly, Vodacom
I-
customers who have them already.
A lady phoned me today. She said, "Thanks for the recommendation. I bought it today. It's fantastic." So
Yeah.
anyway, what can I
So
say?
anyway, whether or not I'm supposed to be talking about it or not, I have been playing with the 9900. I won't mention details, but it does have an NFC chip inside it. The Nexus has an NFC chip inside it. I think most of the next generation phones that we're going to be
And
seeing
all
from
the
now on
new
in.
Nokias are coming with NFC embedded. So it's a big deal.
And it would. I mean, to me, in my mind, and maybe I'm missing a complexity. It would be simple for the Gautrain company to integrate NFC into their application.
It would, and would make so much sense. Book online, arrive at the your destination, swipe your phone, and move on. It's all there, and it's pretty simple. But there's no booking online.
Why can't we
so-
be more like Japan?
We'll get there.
What tsunamis and everything?
Yeah,
No, thank you.
tsunamis,
No, thank
nuclear
you.
power reactors
And,
melting
and
down.
hurricanes and all sorts of other natural disasters. I'm quite happy here in the middle of Gauteng with none of that, none of the above.
Yes. Okay. So 99. What are you? You had a BlackBerry that you hauled out on. Oh, you're not allowed to talk about it.
Now this one I can talk about because this is mine. I got it myself.
What is that?
interestingly Enough. This is the new Storm.
Oh, let me see it. Okay.
Or, well, they're not calling it the Storm. I think
Is it the
Storm blew
savior
itself
of BlackBerry worldwide?
out. Well, you
Will
know
it
what?
pull RIM out of the stock price
Out of the
doldrums?
abyss. You know what it does do? It is the most solid feeling device I've ever played with. It is absolutely
Does feel quite
rock
solid.
And it's incredibly fast. The screen's amazingly responsive, and their new OS 7 or 6 point whatever updated to 7 is
You've got it on
actually
ATA.
really good, and it's running on ATA of all the things. So I'm very impressed. It's definitely the best BlackBerry I've ever used, and it brings things right up to date. It doesn't take them ahead.
But you
But it
said the
certainly
key
brings
part
them
there,
up.
it's the best BlackBerry you've ever used.
Absolutely.
And what other analysts will tell you is that what they need to do is stop being
No,
what they were like in the
no.
past.
I must tell you something. That phone, when you've got everything hooked up and it's all going into the correct box and BBM's working, I've never felt more connected with any other phone on the
Really?
market. That thing, it just,
Why? I'm very connected with my WhatsApp and my SMSs.
have you used a BlackBerry?
No, 6 months ago I said BlackBerry PRs, please invade my life and give me one, and
Invade your
no one did. So
Well, the bottom line is, if you use it and you spend time with it, it's incredibly connected because the notification system is brilliant. The way that it informs you of what's happening is brilliant.
Now, where did you get this unit from, Steve?
I got a friend of mine brought it for me from England.
So they're available in the UK already?
They're available in the UK.
Huh.
And apparently, this is BlackBerry and Vodacom and all the boys listen up nicely. This is a great device. Apparently, they're not going to release it in South Africa.
What?
Can you believe it? It is for a touchscreen
Try the
aficionado. It's really good.
I'm sending all your contacts emails,
Oh, thank you.
Steve, because I want to see how the keyboard's pretty good, actually.
No, the keyboard is very good. The screen is really responsive.
I can't believe they're not launching this.
Yeah,
year.
and they're not launching it. They're only launching the 9900, the Storm 2, which is the slider.
So what's this one called?
That is called the Storm. Crumbs. It's the Storm Touch.
The Storm.
Storm
It's
2.
the Storm Touch.
The
and it's
Storm
got
in a
all
teacup.
sorts of- all sorts of odd numbers, but it's the Storm Touch, and
Okay.
it's really an amazing phone.
All right. Cool. Well, while we're talking about BlackBerry, we should do our second insert, which is, of course, the fact that BlackBerry is back on board as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And we have to mention this week that the BlackBerry Playbook tablet's now available from Telkom Business Mobile. And I actually want to talk about Telkom
Oh,
Business
yeah.
Mobile because
That's
that's a
big
story
news.
in itself.
That's a huge.
This week, and I'm sure Steve has a lot to say about that. But the BlackBerry Playbook tablet is now available in South Africa from Telkom Business Mobile, offering SMEs and enterprise users a way to take communication and productivity to the next level. Ultra portable design, of course, the 7-inch tablet with 1 gigahertz dual core processor, BlackBerry Tablet OS, up to 64 gigabytes of internal storage. And we've spoken about this gorgeous interface that we all like so much. We just wish there were more applications available. The SDK is available now as a beta, so maybe we'll start seeing some of those core apps coming online. But check out the BlackBerry Playbook tablets, and if you've been looking for an enterprise corporate sort of deal around this, speak to the guys at Telkom Mobile Business. They might be able to help you out. We're very pleased to have BlackBerry back on the ZA Tech Show, of course.
No doubt.
Telkom Mobile Business.
Well, you know what? Everybody's on about their great deals, and they are good.
Yeah.
And everyone's on about all sorts of special offers they've got, and they are good.
Yes.
But you know what impressed me more than anything about the whole thing is that they're really, for years it was like a national sport. Let's bash Telkom. If there was a problem, it was Telkom's fault. If you couldn't get your
I still
line
like that
connected, it was
sport, though.
Telkom's fault.
That changed?
And
When did that change?
it hasn't changed.
Who are we bashing
No,
now?
it hasn't changed. We're still bashing Telkom. But for the first time, I think Telkom have realized that if they don't wake up and get their act together and really get aggressive out there, they're going to become irrelevant. And they seem to have seen that. And all of a sudden, with their ATA offerings, with their Telkom mobile offerings, they've shaken the market hugely and done things that nobody expected the incumbent dinosaur called Telkom to do.
Has ATA really shaken up the market, though?
Well, let's put it this way. Whether it's shaken up the market to their own benefit is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
The fact is the dynamic of having a fourth mobile operator has broken the whole cozy relationship that MTN and Vodacom have had up to now.
Right.
Because the pricing never changed much. If Vodacom went up, MTN went up. If MTN offered a package, Vodacom reacted. There was a nice little cozy relationship going on, and you could call it competition, but it was more like cooperation. They looked at each other and stayed in step.
Yeah.
Cell C came along, they hiked the interconnect and basically kept them out of the market. And they were
Yes.
pretty irrelevant until that got changed. Now all of a sudden Cell C are kicking all sorts of dustbins over and causing havoc. And it's working. And Telkom have come along with ATA and done exactly the same thing.
Yes.
So the minute ATA launched, all of a sudden prepaid became a lot cheaper. There were a lot better offers. There was lots of freebies. There was lots of activity in the market. Then what happened is they launched their cheap data. I mean, $200 for 10 gigs. All right, there were limitations, but the fact is it was so cheap. And what was even more impressive is that Telkom themselves didn't know about it till it was launched,
Right.
which was quite scary. I mean, can you imagine that? I could imagine all the hoo-ha that went on in the halls of Telkom. But it completely changed the nature of data. And what Telkom as a company did to respond, suddenly they gave everyone 20 gigs of free data on their ADSL account. Because suddenly they were looking irrelevant and
What?
expensive.
Did I miss that?
You missed
Well, the local data.
No. If you had a 9 gig cap,
Yes.
they gave you
Oh, if you had a
20
9 gig.
gigs
Okay, I'm with
extra.
you. Yeah,
So you had suddenly 30 gigs of normal access.
Right.
They
In
tripled.
perpetuity.
No, it was originally
Ah.
only for May, June, July. Now they've or June, July, August. They've now extended that to September, and I've heard from someone there that they're busy reworking all their packages, and they're going to be really significant changes coming before the end of September.
Yeah.
So the whole market has shifted fundamentally, and now along comes Telkom Mobile, and their one major offering, which should have happened years ago from everyone else, is you can buy a bundle of, let's say, 1,000 minutes, or a bundle of 10 gig or 20 gig, and if you've got 10 people in your company, you can share it amongst them.
Yes.
So there's no wasted contracts, there's no wasted megs, there's no wasted minutes. You buy a bundle and you use them cooperatively across 20 SIMs.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is absolutely brilliant. And their pricing
Yeah.
on that basis is about 20% better than anything else on the market.
But we're not seeing major reactions from the bigger
Well,
operators.
Give it a chance. I think it'll take another week or two, and we're going to see some operations.
Week or two.
I reckon a week or two. Before the end of September, you're going to see all sorts of reactions coming from MTN and Vodacom. They have to. Their biggest clients are government clients, and guess who owns Telkom?
Yeah.
So,
So
do you
they've
know
got
what
a
the
great
churn-
in there.
do you know what the churn
Can of
is
worms.
of prepaid SIM cards per month? As in, how many SIM cards are
It's dropped.
bought
It's about
to
20
become available?
30%
20 to 30% per month
per month.
of 40 million.
Correct. So there's a floating pool of 10 million SIM cards that are changing all the time because people play
Sure.
arbitrage. They buy a Vodacom SIM and use it for a month, throw
Yes.
it away. Buy an MTN SIM, use it for a month, and Vodacom and MTN and all the guys have played this game. They have specials, so you get 10 free SMSs for 10 cents.
Yeah.
So you go and buy 10 of these SIMs. Rika's fixed it a bit. It's stopped it to some extent. It's dropped the churn for all the operators, but it's still significant, and we're still seeing.
That's not
much of that
significant.
going.
That's ginormous,
Yeah, well.
to use a technical word.
and even in the postpaid environment, there's about a 10% churn. So you're talking about 1 million contracts up for renewal every single month. So there's a lot of churn in the market.
Potential churn.
Potential churn. And although on the other side, all the research, Worldwide Works research, and a lot of other guys have shown that most people, about 80 to 85% of people, are very happy with their operator.
Which
So
I find amazing.
it is amazing, but that's the fact. So although there's big churn, and although
People love
Yeah.
complaining.
and people moan,
Yeah,
like
but the only
mad.
time you really get upset with your operator is when you try push the boundaries of what's possible. So you
Maybe,
become an advanced
maybe.
user.
Look,
I think if you were
there are enough
sending
people
SMSs,
saying they can't make calls daily. Although I must admit that it has been a lot better for me. I haven't had a drop call in a while.
dude, I got an MTN extender. I told you that story.
Yes.
An MTN extender. So I'm sitting staring at this MTN extender, and I've dropped about 7 calls today.
Really?
You or
It
them.
kills me. No,
Yeah,
on a
but
couple
these-
of occasions, I can
these-
see my signal just
These
bumps.
booster antennas, I'm not sold. I have a pointing antenna at my house that I was testing, and it pushes. If I look at a device connected to it, it pushes up the signal strength on the
But
device.
signal
But
strength is
actual
only part
experience,
of it's only part of the
exactly,
problem.
the actual
It
experience
depends how many
of
people are
connecting.
on that particular tower, what the load is, who knows what the backhaul's going on. You don't know.
Right.
There's so many technical factors.
Yeah.
So And yet, I don't. You've got to go and try wander around London and maintain a connection, or try it in New York for that matter.
No, look,
we're not that bad.
Yeah, I'd
No,
love
we're
to
not. In fact, I
experience
think
it
we're
in
probably-
Silicon.
the
The AT&T Wonder.
my
Wonder
experiences
City.
of AT&T, I was going to say, is
Mine as well. I
way
never-
worse than any American
For,
operator.
for
I've
a
tried.
whole week, I was not able to make one call or connect to one data service in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So that's a whole week. So
I must
tell
tell
me-
you though, I've got a T-Mobile SIM, and whenever I'm in the States on T-Mobile, that's a pretty good
No,
experience.
that is good. I've also, but this
They've
year
also
I
got
thought
that
I'd be-
fantastic, what is it, data deal. It's like $2 a day unlimited
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
ridiculous, which is
It's-
great if you're traveling for 4 days to the States.
No, T-Mobile's a great option for the US. This year around, I decided to go with AT&T.
There's some
and it
international
didn't
news
work.
for you because, of
Yep.
course, AT&T wants to buy T-Mobile. T-Mobile wants to be bought by AT&T.
And the government
But there's
saying
an
no.
well, potentially antitrust.
No, the government
ruling
have
against them.
actually said they want to stop it. So
Well, they've said they
taken
want
them
to, but we
court.
haven't gotten a firm
No, we
decision
haven't got
from a
to
court
court.
yet.
But still, that's a big thing when the government says to you guys, stop it.
Yeah. I was on
No.
Tech News Today on This Week in Tech last Friday where we were discussing this.
Tom Merritt.
Yeah, Tom was away, actually.
And what was the
Sorry?
consensus? Do they believe that it's going to
Sarah
happen
was
or
doing
not?
a great job of hosting the show. Look, it's difficult to say at this stage. I get the feeling that they'll put a stop to this thing. And I said, look, I don't know how Americans feel about this, but I would be against it. You want more operators, not less.
Absolutely. And but the only real hassle is T-Mobile are dead keen. The German T-Mobile are dead keen to get rid of that subsidiary. It's been underperforming for them for years. It's a tough market. You know, when you got Sprint, you got Verizon, you got AT&T, and then T-Mobile coming up on the side. It's a tough environment, and I think they're keen to get rid of it. So, you know, what do you do when your parent company is not particularly happy with you?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a challenge. I think it's going to be really exciting. But at least for this year, if I go to America, I'm going to buy a T-Mobile SIM. I'm not going to go with AT&T.
Definitely.
Never again.
Which reminds me, I must see if my T-Mobile SIM's
They
still
do-
active and what I must do to keep it that way.
You know, spend money. Simple.
Yeah,
Just go and put some money on the thing.
yeah. Money talks, man.
Always, always.
All right. What else do we need to talk about? Evernote has acquired Sketch. Not a massive story,
Sketch.
but an interesting one.
Sketch. I picked Sketch many moons ago. It is simply the best clipboard image kind of snapper out of all of them. Its annotations are beautiful. Its interface is beautiful. It's just recently been upgraded to Lion. There were some problems, but I don't know. It's not a massive story, but it's a clever acquisition. It probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have cost them too much. It works perfectly with Evernote, although the integration isn't there yet. I'm not seeing. There was one prompt that said link your Evernote account, and I haven't seen what I can do with it yet.
Sure.
I
well,
wanna
they've only
sketch
just
straight
acquired
to
them,
Evernote.
So I'm sure they're gonna.
I'm sure
pull
there's
that in.
lots of work.
But
going
they
on.
made, and again, this is a really interesting business model. Players that Sketch Pro was paid for, and they've made Sketch Pro free now.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Because obviously Evernote is sitting on a whole bunch of VC, and they can afford to do that
Yeah.
through free to free
All right.
or free to fee.
The interesting thing there is the whole freemium type business model. All these guys are going for that. And that seems to be the way that all the VC-based startups are working their business plan.
Well,
And
when you're
it's-
building your business to get sold and not actually make any profit, then then it's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Just get lots of eyeballs and
Yeah.
sell
won't
them.
You
last
want
very long.
freemium so you can say, yes, we do have a revenue model, but you want your product to be free so you can get as many users as possible and on-sell those.
on sell and retire to the beach.
It's a
The other-
stupid system.
The other story that I picked up was the Google shutting down a whole bunch of their little mini businesses,
Cleaning shop.
cleaning
Yeah.
house, which was
Yeah.
quite interesting. I think it's brave. You know what I liked about that story was not they're shutting down Artfoc. Is that a South African company? They just used a South African
No.
animal. Okay,
Artfoc is a global term for that animal.
is it?
Yeah,
It sounds very
Americans-
South
It
African.
is very South African.
It
but
is
it's
very
not.
South African.
It's an earth pig.
No, it's a South African word. It's
Yeah,
made its
yeah.
way into the global
an Afrikaans
dictionary.
word. So Artfoc, Google Desktop. And that's interesting. The Google Desktop. That's the search your local machine.
Yeah.
Fast
Yeah, but I
Flip,
think
Google
the operating
Maps.
systems have made it redundant. in
I
Yeah.
don't think anybody ever used any of these things.
Well, no. The truth
Except
is,
for Artfoc, maybe.
Google
truth is
Pack.
they're cleaning them up simply because they can. They're not significant to their business
Yeah.
model,
But-
and they're diverting
Ooh,
resources.
But there's a bigger sort of statement here to be made, I think, about Google's success of starting new things. They haven't had a major hit since Google Maps, really. Wave was a disaster.
Docs, maybe.
and yet,
Docs.
and yet they can afford to play
Yeah.
in this way.
No,
And the
Do we
best-
see Google Plus going anywhere, for
Yeah,
example?
I do.
reckon.
I do.
If you're an Android user, it's pretty
No, but
compelling.
No, I
but
think
it's
as an
em-
iPhone user,
it's
it's
embedding
as
in
compelling.
iPhone is really good. I'm very impressed. The instant upload, the way that you can have whole conversations, the way that you can
I think it treats content as a social object a lot
Absolutely.
better than the other things do.
absolutely.
And you can see
Ah,
Facebook
yes.
copying it. But this all relies on critical mass. And if they don't have the critical mass, they're not going to go anywhere.
So I'll tell you, and once again, this is completely subjective, so make of it what you will. But my experience of Google Plus, and I know I'm not alone here, is I log in because there's a notification. I see 5 new people that have added me. I add them to circles and then I log out. I'm yet to actually post.
So you
anything
don't
to Google
read
Plus.
anything or post
No.
anything
So-
or repost anything.
But I don't do that on Facebook either. That whole
No, I don't either.
approach just doesn't work for me.
We don't do it, but we don't use it like. Take my wife. She uses Facebook as Facebook was intended to, which is to keep up with friends.
Yeah.
Now, we've gone and accepted a whole bunch of random strangers, so we can't do that.
Sounds like
But-
fun.
The more interesting argument about Google Plus is, and I stole this from Leo Laporte's show. They were chatting about it. Is blogging on Google Plus as opposed to blogging on a blog.
Okay.
Now, obviously, in this country, a blog still has a lot more stickiness because it ranks and all that kind of good stuff. But when you've got 100,000 followers, as most of the guys on Leo's show do on Google Plus, blogging on Google Plus is very interesting because you start to see the advantage of how Google Plus treats content as a social object, and the reshare and the plus one and the threaded conversations that can happen, and sharing
Linking
into
to your whole profile.
correct. And I've tried to do that now, so I cross post blog posts onto Google Plus.
Okay.
And engagement is a lot higher, but it's probably just because it's new. It's just the way it handles content, which I'm quite fond
Look,
of.
it's plenty slick. It's what Facebook would have been if it was invented this week instead of 3 or 4 years ago, wherever it was. So it's not that I just the whole approach to social media a la Facebook, which inherently is what Google Plus is, irrespective of how it treats resources or content, doesn't seem to gel. Not only for me, but for tech enthusiasts. Don't do things that way. Have you found that? You speak when I speak to people in the industry.
Let's
So
put it
few of
this
them
way.
use Facebook.
The interesting thing is, if Google Plus went away tomorrow, I wouldn't miss it,
Right.
which is, I think, the key test. If Twitter went away tomorrow, I think I would search long and hard for something to fill the gap. With Google Plus at this point in time, probably not. But
Yeah.
then again, I'm also a bit ambivalent with Facebook.
But there's also that reset argument. The argument, there's a reason why tech pundits don't use Facebook as normal people do, because we've added too many people, the streams are too messy.
It's too noisy.
And there's a big argument going on in the US that Google Plus allows you the reset. It
Absolutely.
allows you to start fresh.
Yes.
And to be much more discerning in who you listen to and who you talk to.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that might have it going for him.
Though I must say that from the one feature of Google Plus that is an absolute bonus is the instant upload of photographs from your mobile device.
yeah.
Apart from BlackBerry, which they don't have an app for, but for everyone else, it is absolutely spectacular. You take a picture, 2 seconds later it's up on the web. You can then share it with your family, with the groups you want. It's available sort of
Cool
in
for live
perpetuity.
blogging an event or something like that,
Absolutely.
I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, live blogging an event would be very cool. In fact, I'll probably
or taking
try it out.
pictures of this event, as I've done, and you commented on it. So
Yeah.
it works.
I'll probably try it out at the Discovery Leadership
Summit.
Conference.
Looking forward to
I'm
that.
gonna use Storify again because I really liked Storify, but I might play a bit on Google Plus. The problem is just volume. There's not enough people getting to it. But just one last interjection. The other interesting thing about that. Sorry, Steven's taking silly pictures.
Is that an Atrix?
Yep. it's a
Fantastic
matter.
device. In fact,
It is
I
Too
think I
many
might pick it this week.
phones. Yeah. How many phones do you have with you? 4.
4.
Okay, hold on.
So-
Stream of consciousness.
Sorry. The
Have a look what's running on this Atrix.
Sure.
Sorry.
The more interesting point about, let me get my stream of consciousness
man.
back. The Google Plus launch was the brave leadership of Larry, who's in
Okay.
charge now. Am I right?
Yes, Larry's taking over from Eric.
Correct. And the fact that before they shut all these business units down, he asked for a 60-word explanation of why a whole set of them should survive.
60 word.
60 words.
That's pretty
Now
good.
imagine a South African company doing that. Take a bank or a cell phone company.
They
Or
would
Should
be
we
burned
shut
Someone
the
like
division
that.
down?
60-word explanations of whether your business unit and its 150 people should live or die. That's some seriously brave leadership. I can only admire that.
Listen,
kind
there
of
was
stuff.
probably one guy curating all of those businesses within Google anyway.
I don't know.
Well, they knew what they were doing.
And
They
maybe
just
it's
wanted
PR,
to turn
but-
it into fun.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
All right, dudes, let's do our picks of the week.
Who wants more
to
wine
go
before we?
first? Dude, you've given me a soda glass full of wine. I'm starting to see other dimensions.
It is a
Steve,
very
do you want to
nice
go
wine.
first? What's your pick of the week?
I got two.
One of the 4 bajillion phones you have.
No. Well, okay. I'm going to pick the BlackBerry Touch. I think
Okay.
it's brilliant. But along with that, I've got 2 little cool toys I acquired over the last little while. Being the proud owner of a MacBook Air, it has one huge
That you
flaw
run Windows on.
that I run Windows on for most of the time.
Hash fail.
I love it. But anyway, it has one huge problem. It does not have an Ethernet port.
Right.
And I was given this little device. It's called a USB 2 4-port hub with Ethernet adapter. And
What?
it comes from a little company called Mercer, and it's available for very moderate money. I think $150. And you plug it in. It's got a OS X driver which works perfectly on
That
Lion.
is brilliant.
You plug it in and off it goes. And you plug an Ethernet cable in, and it works like an absolute bomb.
And it's a proudly South African product.
Yep. Well, it's made in
OEM
Taiwan.
in China.
Oh, China.
So sorry.
But they print the logos on them here. Okay.
Yeah.
Or
oh,
maybe
because this MacBook Air doesn't come with one.
Exactly. And it's got 4 ports.
Yeah, but so the clever thing about that
No.
is I had the MacBook Air for a while and I had the Ethernet port adapter and it would close up one USB port when you used it.
Correct.
Now you're actually
Correct.
gaining more.
So now
Very
you've
clever.
got 5 USB ports plus an Ethernet.
And it
port.
works out of the box, eh?
Out of the well, you've got a loader driver,
Okay.
which comes on a CD-ROM, which is a bit of
Hash
a fail.
fail.
But I'm sure you can find a friend who can transfer it to a USB
Okay, so
stick
set it
for
up
you.
before you leave home.
Yeah,
on
set it
your-
up
on
before
your
you
travels.
because otherwise the CD-ROM is not
Okay,
going to
but-
fly.
But pretty good idea.
But it's a great
Even
idea.
if
And
the
then the last
execution
little toy
is
I've
left
got
wanting.
that I really want to recommend is something that Motorola gave me. It's basically an external battery, but it's got one clever little trick. It's got a USB port on it for charging and a full USB port for charging other gear.
Yeah,
So
very
you
cool.
can take your iPhone or whatever and plug it in. So look for this one in all the stores.
I've
and
got the Power
it's not so
Traveler
cheap.
Mini Gorilla,
Yeah, that's
which is
that's
essentially
really
the
cool.
same thing, but can fully charge an iPhone like 3 times, which is
Now, this
awesome.
can only do it once.
Yeah.
But it's light and it's inexpensive
Fits in a pocket.
and it's really cool to carry around. So
Nice
that's me
picks.
tonight.
Well done, Stephen. Andy,
Okay,
what
I have
are we
a
picking?
I have a mini pick on and a pick.
Okay.
My mini pick on is Carbonite, which I picked
Are you hating it?
2 weeks ago. No, it's just been a pain in the ass.
Is this a family show? No,
so
it's
much
not.
for getting sponsorship
yeah,
from Carbonite.
Yeah, forget Carbonite.
No,
Product
it-
is a pain in the ass.
You
Move
know
on.
what? I think the idea of Carbonite is brilliant, and why I'm sticking with it, why I'm soldiering on, is this idea of install something and it works on Windows and Mac and whatever you like. You install it and you forget about it. I
Yeah.
really like that. That's cool. But it has had some issues. It wasn't line compatible, and now I've got 7.8 gigabytes, which took me forever to upload, of my previous install, and now I've got the new install coming, and it looks like it might confuse the two, and their customer service isn't as responsive as I would like. Anyway, I'm going to stick with it, even though, Brett tells me that iCloud is going to change my life.
iCloud's
there's-
pretty cool.
But there's no backup
Yeah.
service.
It's not
There
a
is no
backup
backup
service.
service.
That'll keep my music, and then I can keep everything else on Dropbox. Dropbox is still more expensive. You want to keep all your photos. People are
Photos
heading.
are the big problem for me because I
Too
carry
many
over 100
gigabytes.
gigs of photos around.
That's why you want Carbonite.
Where do I back them up in the cloud?
Unlimited
Open
storage
up
from
for,
Carbonite.
Hotmail accounts. It's as simple as that.
No.
No, serious. You get 25 gigs.
Hack,
And you
hack,
can
Email all the
hackety
photos
hack.
to myself.
Yeah,
Okay, something
hacky.
slightly more elegant.
Slightly more elegant.
Ah.
Write a script to do it automatically.
Oh, God.
Okay, you and Cory Doctorow can do that. Anyway, mini pick on. My pick is for 2 reasons. It's the Rugby World Cup 2011 iPhone app.
Very nice, yeah.
Also
Yeah,
available
it's
on
just-
BlackBerry
Okay, good. I was going to ask.
Yeah.
And Android.
and Android.
I would assume Android and BlackBerry. It's really slick. It tells you exactly what you need to know. Lets you filter by country. But what's most interesting about it is its integration with Land Rover, who are evidently one of the big sponsors. And if you go into the kind of, I don't know what it's called on the iPhone, but it's like the campaign side of it as opposed to fixtures and events and scores. It's just really nice, and it's a good example of how apps can be used as short-term campaign mechanics, and they can work really, really well. So you release an app for the 3 months of the campaign, and bang, it's done. It's over. Do your metrics, unload it from the App Store, and be done with you. So I don't know. I was very impressed. And I think we're going to be seeing more and more South African companies releasing apps as the app active audience grows, as long as the agencies stop ripping the hind one. What is iPhone app development now? 300K, 400K?
It's
At the moment,
ridiculous.
it's really expensive.
But they're
still
shooting themselves in the
stupid.
foot because you can go to Bangladesh and
Oh, exactly.
Well, you can go online and have it done for you, chop anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I hate any industry where it's prices anywhere from 20K to 500K.
right. Okay, nice pick.
But yeah, that's the pick.
I'm going to pick the Motorola Atrix. I don't think it was picked
Is
last
that
week.
it?
This is it. And the amazing thing about this phone, besides for all of its technological prowess, is its price, because they're bringing this thing into South Africa for $5,500. That's for a dual core
32 gig.
32 gig Android phone with a docking station. It comes with one.
Yeah. And it works. I tried
and
the docking station.
It's amazing.
Apps, that WebTop app is brilliant.
So I am blown away by the pricing on this. It's a big deal. You put one of these docks next to your TV, for example, and it's got a beautiful, gorgeous media hub that loads up. You can set it so that it remembers which dock does what. So one for the media hub, one for your desktop computer. It becomes a desktop computer. I haven't played with the laptop dock because
No,
they've got
no. They're
problems getting them into the country, but they're on the way.
Because they're difficult. They don't know what to declare them
Customs
as.
doesn't know what it is.
Batteries or screens. So it's a
Yeah.
challenge. But the
Anyway,
other thing that works
so I haven't
really
tried
well
that, but blown away so far.
is the DNLA server.
Yes.
And it just found, I plugged it into my TV. Through Wi-Fi and through the network, it found my home server and found my
Media.
media.
Yeah.
It was
Very
pretty impressive.
I'm really impressed with this phone. They were clever on the price, though. If they had made it more expensive, it would have been a non-starter.
You're right.
But because they've priced it so competitively, I mean, for the same price as a Galaxy S2 or an HTC Sensation, you get the same amount of processing power, the same operating system, and a whole world of ecosystem joy that
The
they
only
don't
thing I
have.
will say is currently they haven't upgraded the released Atrixes from Android 2.2.
Right.
So they're still running the old version.
Sure.
This one is
Gingerbread
running the
will
new
come,
one.
though.
This one is running Gingerbread, but the new it will come. It's going to come quite soon.
Yeah. Anyway, look, this is a market beater potentially.
No, it's a great device.
One wonders where this is all going now that Google owns the company, though.
Well, that's a discussion for another whole session.
I think so. But I'm quite taken with the Atrix. Very nice. I haven't tried the laptop dock yet.
I
But
think
I
we're
like
all
the
dead
idea.
keen to try it.
Yeah. What I'm loving is these the docks sell for $500.
What the phone dock?
The
Yeah.
phone docks,
And
which
it's-
could be a multimedia dock, could be plugged into your TV, could be plugged into
That's
a screen,
the screen.
keyboard, and mouse.
And
yeah.
you can plug a Bluetooth mouse. Well, you don't have to plug a Bluetooth mouse, but you can connect a Bluetooth mouse
Yeah.
and keyboard and then operate your phone with that
Very clever. Very, very clever.
on your TV.
So
is pretty sick.
okay, $5,500 gets you the phone and one dock. Buy another dock, you're up to $6,000. Buy the laptop dock, you're up to $8,500. For $8,500, you've got a media center, a desktop computer, a laptop, and a phone.
The only fly.
Now,
in
they've
the
just gotta
ointment is
market
when
it
the
like
phone
that.
rings while you're watching a movie.
Yeah, and it brings up the little phone screen in the corner.
Mummy calling.
You can disable that.
Or your
though.
girlfriend calls you.
You can disable it, but yeah.
So, no, there are potential conflicts.
What I like is that you can answer your phone in that mode. The dock's got a microphone on it
Absolutely.
and
It's hands-free.
speakers, so it becomes hands-free the moment it's docked, which is cool.
Yes, until you're watching high school reunion of the cheerleaders 4.
With your
I
wife
think
and
it
your
does-
girlfriend
I
phones.
think it does pause the movie.
I hope so.
All right, shall we call it an evening, gentlemen?
Yep.
Or an afternoon, if that's when you're
I
watching
don't know.
the show.
This wine is going down well. Let's just keep
Well,
talking.
you can stick around and we'll do
There's
some
not
after
much-
show talking. and you
There's
can
no
finish
wine
your
left.
But that's it for episode number 175 of the ZA Tech Show. What should we call the show this week? You guys think about that.
We talk too much about tablets. We must stop talking about tablets.
Yeah, no.
And ecosystems and infrastructures
How
and
is that
app
an answer
stores.
to my question?
Not about tablets.
But it was. All
I
that
know.
and more. Anyway, if you'd like to get in touch, check out our website, zatech.co.za. We've got a contact form over there. What else can I tell you? We'll be back next week with episode number 176. If you've never joined us live for the show, check it out, zatech.co.za/live. We do this every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central African Time, which is UTC +2. So check it out if you haven't watched the show before. It's a lot of fun live, and dive into the chat room. If you want to connect straight to IRC, we're in za.shadowfire.org is the server. Channel #ZATech. Come and have a
And
chat.
don't use Lime Chat for Mac.
And don't use Lime Chat for Mac, says Andy Hatfield, because he doesn't know how it works.
No, I got it.
Me neither.
I got it working eventually.
Colloquy is a good client for
No,
me.
Colloquy is good, but I wanted something. Now here's a good example of just being a sucker to app
What was
stores.
that channel again?
#ZATech. I wanted something which was in the Mac App Store, so it would auto update.
Yeah.
And then when I did a clean install again of Lion when it craps out on me, then I can just click bang, 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 and put all my software back.
Do that
So
again.
Lime Chat was bang, 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 bang. So Lime Chat was the one in the App Store.
Okay.
But I got it working. I think maybe the connection's a bit
Cool.
floozy here.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. The ZA Tech Show is made possible by Vodacom. Power to you at vodacom.co.za, and by BlackBerry. Love doing business on your BlackBerry smartphone at blackberry.co.za. Cameraman's laughing at me, which always helps. And that's it for this week. Cheers. What's funny for you?
Bye.